Hey everybody, Nick here, and this morning we're going to do a little disassembly and maintenance on this little guy right here. This is the Spyderco FRN Chaparral, which is a very interesting little piece, actually super compelling in a couple of ways. So I want to go ahead and take one apart here, just see what makes it tick. I don't expect a whole bunch of surprises here. The one thing I will highlight immediately, and the reason I'm doing this at all, is inside here I can see metal, which means that the backlock spring is being held in by a metal piece rather than plastic one like on your Delica. Because that plastic bit is what makes, well, it's the source of just a great deal of pain in doing the reassemblies and whatnot. So, anyways, let's just keep that one in mind. But that's the reason why I'm fighting this at all. I'm finding 0 thread locker here, which is actually a beautiful thing. No complaints there. Go ahead and pop these guys out. I'm just kind of storing the screws up here in this little area of my mat. If you're ever curious about any of the tools that I'm using for disassembly, go ahead. I've got a video on knife disassembly tools that you might find of interest. And that has links to everything I'm using here. But we should be ready to take this guy apart. Just lift this scale off. Beautiful. So inside here, what we can see are a couple of things. We can see here that the FRN is actually sitting on top of a metal liner, which is good. Get a pry tool here. This is a Rat Bastard Enigma pocket probe. My pry tool of choice for these kinds of things. And I'm just going to coat it with a little bit of... There we go. And I'm just going to kind of rock this back and forth and pop things up off of the knife. And this should allow me to get this guy loose. Come on. There we go. And right here we have a nice little microcosm look of how a backlock works. Because you lift this open, knife closes, etc. And the knife is now popped loose, and we can go ahead and put everything back together. But like I said, see, take a look at this. This is how this is done properly. You use a big chunk of metal. Well, okay, not properly necessarily, I mean, but it's much more easy to disassemble and to work with in this when it's done in this way. Having the backlock spring inside this metal, which is secured by these 2 screws, means that you don't have the little plastic post that causes 90% of your pain when working with the Delica. So I appreciate that very much. This is a much more reasonably designed FRN backlock knife than your Delica is. So there you go. Let's go ahead and put this guy, doing a little bit of cleaning here, just wiping things off. I want to thank very much my buddy Chris for sending this guy along. He actually got this guy in a trade, and figured he would have it sent to me first, which is very kind of him. Because this is a knife I've been interested in. Just because, what the heck is it? Why has Spyderco done this? At some level, it didn't make a lot of sense to me initially. Like, why would you make the Chaparral, which is really a carbon fiber gentleman's knife, in FRN? What are you doing there? But I don't think I fully grokked at the time exactly what role this can play. This is a knife that I think can actually compete very nicely with the Spyderco Delica, especially with the Delica's price raise here. Maybe I'm foreshadowing. I'm going to do a comparison video of the Delica and the Chaparral here. But look, when you're paying $75 for a Delica and you're paying $90 for the FRN Chaparral, man, considering the difference in steels and whatnot, they are really competing hard. I mean, I've heard it said a number of times that Japan is really expensive to make knives in, but hot damn. So, yeah, there you go. This is a very interesting piece, though, as a result, because it is fundamentally the Chaparral, which is fundamentally a gem. It's just made a little bit different, wearing a different pair of pants and whatnot. Sorry, might have been slightly off screen there. But, yeah, so anyways, just cleaning things up here. I'm using some rubbing alcohol on a little fabric swatch here. This isn't particularly dirty, so that's good. And we can go on ahead and start putting things right back together. See here, the pivot is D-shaped. There's a little D-shaped screw on there. Not screw. D-shaped surface, that is. And so we'll go ahead and make sure that D-shape is in position. The other thing and of course the clip comes loose. And that jettison too. Nice. Just nice. Alrighty, but anyways, we're going to go ahead and make sure that the lock bar is in position as well. And I believe was in this position. Yeah, it was, because you can see there's a little bit of wear on top of that, which is what you would expect from a back lock bar in that position. Since the action on this guy is never going to be like, oh my god, free swing and free dropping, I'm going to go ahead and use a slightly thicker oil here. This is your 85 weight nano oil. The reason for that is it'll just spread a little bit less, should make things a little nicer. Oh, heat just kicked on. Sorry about that. Actually, I'm not sorry about that at all. It's freaking freezing out, so I'm very glad that the heat kicked on. A lucky man to have heat. But anyways, moving along. So what I'm going to do now is put this little washer right onto here. You can see here there are little polished areas. This is the area that has been historically contacting the blade, so make sure that that faces said blade. Hashtag over lubricating the knife. That's just who I am, I guess. Go ahead and drop the blade onto here. Alrighty. So, there is really only two tricky portions to doing a knife like this. Getting everything put back together here. Number one of them is what I'm about to do, which is refitting the lock bar. On the Delica, this is a pain in the neck because this piece always wants to come loose and move around. But on this guy, it is just a chunk of metal, and so there's not really a huge trouble here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the lock bar sort of at an angle. You can see it like this right here. And the reason for that is because I want this lock bar to be catching on this spring. Then what I'm going to do is press downwards on this guy. And as I'm doing that, push the thing down so that it comes in and seats in place. Did I put the washer on the other side there? Yes, I did. Okay. And so now at this point, the knife is ready to be put fully back together. Go ahead and add a little bit more lubrication here. There we go. I don't know if you noticed, but I did put a little bit of lubrication right around the backlock pin there. Just because that is a portion that needs to move. Go. Over lubricating the world is always alrighty. Here we go. Now I want to make sure that my spring is fully seated in there, and it is. And we'll go ahead and drop this guy into the position into which it needs to be. Whoop. So the trick here is going to be to make sure that everything is properly aligned. There we go. So this screw is here, and I just kind of want to get this guy seated as well. This is also a D-shaped flattened screw on the top there, so I want to make sure that that's in position, but let's go ahead and see if I can't push that through. Come on. There we go. So that's now pushed through as well, and the knife is, for all intents and purposes, back together. So, at this point, we can drop the scales back onto here. God, that was easy. Nice. What I'm going to go ahead and do first, actually, is put the pivot in place. I'm not going to super crank it down, but I am going to go ahead and put it in place. I'm going to use a little bit of a blue thread locker here. Loctite. Okay, that was more than a little bit. Over-lubricate the world, sure, but you don't want to over-thread lock the world, or else the world won't come back apart. Then again, considering the world feels like it's been coming apart at the seams lately, I feel like maybe I shouldn't be over-lubricating that portion of the world, and I should be over-Loctiting it. Alas, if a man could apply Loctite to the world might be a better place. Or not, I don't know. Some metaphor there of bondage to our basest desires or something. It's way, way too early for me to be thinking philosophically, folks. Alrighty, Sunday morning. Actually, it's a beautiful Sunday morning. Well, cold as heck. But decided to get up and prepare for the day. Carpe the freaking DM by taking this knife apart, getting it ready for a review. Okay, so then finally, I need to get the pocket clip back into place, and unfortunately, the clip needs to go on this side, which is not super stellar. I mean, it's fine. That's the way right side carry goes. But what it means is that I need to push this clip out and then kind of get these underneath here. Oh, come off it. Don't even. Just don't freaking even. Because I need to get this, let's see here. How am I going to do this? Yeah, actually, I'll use this to see if I can't pull this screw up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Because the way that the Spyderco wire clip works, and by the way, I can do this because all of the other screws are in position right now. But the way that the wire clip works is that you need to slide it kind of underneath this screw here. There we go. Beautiful, such that the wire clip goes into these little grooves on the side here. Now what I do is, well, holding on to this and making sure that everything stays in the proper positioning, which it really just doesn't want to do for some freaking reason here. Well, I'm going to just kind of keep it roughly in the area. I'm going to try then. Okay, that was not helpful. Unfortunately, I am now at the portion of my disassembly where I have to do everything one-handed. Oh, come on, you little bastard. I know I don't have the manual dexterity. There we go. And now, of course, I need to swap out the bit because I wasn't thinking about that, and I am hashtag not a brilliant man. It's okay. I'll blame it on the earliness. Here we go. So my goal here, my hope, my dream, my fondest desire, oh yeah, it's happening. Look, as I twist this screw on this side, it's pulling the other one in. And so long then as my wire clip is properly positioned inside these grooves, which it is, as I tighten this down, my clip will be attached. No freaking problem. All right, final step is just to check the pivot, basically. Now that I have gotten everything put back together, I just want to make sure that I have no blade play. Slight play, so I'm going to tighten this down a little. Considering it wasn't very tight at all, no shock there. Okay. Beautiful. There we go. Loosening that up very slightly, see if it wins me anything. It really doesn't. Man, I forgot how much I dislike this super thin backlock. Ay, ay, ay. So I'm going to just put this at base tightness. Okay, that was too tight. Good Lord, guys. There we go. Already, I got chaparral thumb. Ay, ay, ay. Alrighty, and then to finish it all off, we're just going to put a little bit of this same lubrication on the tang of the blade here, such that the backlock is able to glide along a lubricated surface as it opens and closes. Just smooths things out very, very slightly. There we go. Anyways, so that's your disassembly and your maintenance of your Spyderco FRN Chaparral. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.